guys, last SCX10 video I looked at them wheel wells. Postman's just turned up with a delivery and it is what I expected. It's the RC 4-wheel drive ARB stubby bumper for the JK. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. I've been looking forward to this. It's actually been a bumper. I've been searching for bumpers high and low, just looking for that right bumper, and I ended up coming across this and it was just perfect. It was really just like what I was wanting. I was looking at all these Chinese bumpers, but looking at the width, but they all like overhang the grille on the Jeep, and I didn't want that. I wanted something more flush looking, and well, it's designed for the JK, so it don't really get no better than that. And also just a metal front bumper brace just to stiffen up that front end, make it a little bit more rigid. That's also turned up. And the winch, the dual motor worm winch. It's a big heavy beast, so we'll take a closer look at all this lot now. So everything turned up really for the front end just in time. It all turned up on the same day as I wanted to do my wheel wells and everything, so that couldn't have happened better. So the wheel well video, I've been working on that already and got that pretty much done while I'm waiting for the postman to come. So we'll continue that either in a separate video or in with this video. We'll see how time plays out. So the RC 4-wheel drive stubby bumper. Anyone's after one of these, the part number is Z-S1332, and that's the RC 4-wheel drive ARB stubby JK front bumper for the Axial Scx10. So in the packet, some nice little ARB stickers, which I might utilise a couple of them amongst a few of my rigs. Just add a few little extra details, and the actual package itself. Now I haven't found a Chinese copy of one of these yet, which I'm surprised, as at the end of the day it's Chinese, isn't it? It's made in China. So this is the JK bumper. It's nice, solid. It's not overly heavy like some bumpers which I've had in the past. It weighs a bit. In the pictures this looked a lot thinner than winch mount. It's actually a lot thicker than I expected, which is good because I don't want my winch just like ripping this off. Let's go back to like what I was saying about China. As you can see, this is put in and it's been fitted all ski width, and they're all bubbling in the paint, but no, it'll do the job. It's just what I'm looking for. The bumper bar around the top, this is solid. It's really thick. Now some of my other Stingers, they're thin tubed. Well, this is really thick. There's a spot there for a fair lead. You can put your winch line through. For now I think I am just going to use the fair lead off my winch, as I haven't got one, but I have seen some nice ones that won't do, so I might get a new fair lead for that. And the winch plate, with it being RC 4-wheel drive, it will just bolt on the RC 4-wheel drive winches. There's a little bit of flex in these. Now going back to the wheel well video, I might be able to work with this if they're flexible, maybe prise them over everything and then use this to just like hold everything in place. I don't know, we'll see when we come to fitting it. But no, I am more than happy with this bumper. It's what I've wanted. It's been quite a tough decision trying to choose the right bumper. You just want that one thing that's right, and this is it. There's some big beefy shackle hooks on the front there, so you can bolt your own like tow hooks or shackles. I like the angles of the bumper, the way it's shaped. and it doesn't look like it's going to stick out too much. But the one thing I did like about this that attracted me is the winch kind of sits down low inside the bumper, so it's protected. Now I don't know if this is going to sit in with the fair lead up front on there. I might have to remove that. Yeah, so I'm going to have to take this fair lead off and put that on the front there. But you get an idea of the dual winch, the dual motored winch. I don't know, it fills that space nicely. Now there is no need to be having this additional winch plate on here for universal bumpers and stuff like that. It's going to be bolted via the holes that are already originally in the winch, so that's a nice easy fitment. Apparently these pick up to 8 kilos. And I do like the hook on the front, so we're going to have to unknot all this and make that fit onto there. Tie this little knot. So we've got the hook unknotted. It took forever. I'm not the best with knots. Fair lead's off. It's rather big on there at the minute, so I am gonna get another fair lead, but for the time being that'll do. So just so there's fair lead on there. Now to just remove this winch plate. Let's just have a little check. Yeah, and all those holes just perfectly line up on the bottom there. So we get that bolted in. So there's the winch bolted into it, looking awesome. I haven't reused the screws which was already holding the winch in place due to the thickness of this bit of metal along where the winch bolts to. It didn't really leave any thread whatsoever on the nut. So I've gone and put the threaded screws that were supplied in the winch kit. So now we can bolt this onto the chassis. Now this is where things were going to start getting a little bit complicated with the front wheel well. So now it's the point where we come to in the last video. I'd come up with how this hole at the front of the chassis, the front guard and the bumper are all going to go through. Maybe just a longer screw will do it, but if everything's just a cushy fit for the chassis, I don't really want to be bending stuff, but it's not a problem if I have to. But we'll come to that in a minute when I get that fitted. So the chassis. Right, so I've received the front bumper also, aluminium bumper, just to make this slightly more rigid. And I've just come to the conclusion that I'm going to have to take all this out again at some point, because I am planning on moving the servo up front with the servo mount, which is basically the bumper, but it's extended slightly with the holes pre-drilled into the side of the bumper so you can sink the servo up front. And with that there's also a battery conversion plate, so it allows you to lie the battery flat, and that just bolts into the shock towers. So where the battery stood up quite tall, it's going to lie the battery down and just give that little bit more low down weight, which is kind of what I'm after. But I'm not at that stage yet, so I am just going to run it with this for now, because I want to see how it performs as it is without making any modifications yet, and then I can decide to my style of driving what's going to work and what's not going to work for me. So the ARB JK Stubby bumper, let's get this fitted on here now, and this will be a good time to also put the front wheel wells on. So I think the easiest way for me to go about this will be just to remove this first and get the fresh bumper in place. Right, so we kind of just got to experiment for a minute here. Let's see what works best. So, if I can just that tuck under there. Now it's looking like you can't have it both ways. You can't have that with this. It's just not working out. There's just nowhere to tuck that under there, and even if you can get that tuck under there, that ends up all ski with and up kind of thing. So something's gonna have to be cut and modified slightly here. I'm presuming these are a direct bolt-on fit for an SCX10 too, if you don't have these. Now, I'm not too bothered about having these, but it is a nice place to put the ESC and the receiver at the end of the day, so something's just going to have to be trimmed up. So I shall figure that one out, but looking on the front here, that front hole just bolts in that one, just behind there, so that is perfect. So there is, oops, can't see that there, sorry. And for the front hole, this goes up, sorry, nothing's bolted up yet. That goes to there, and there's a hole left, and that hole sits into that hole, which then leaves the RC4 wheel drive stubby bumper arms, which will just come and sit across there nicely. So I don't have to sacrifice anything up front. So that's good news for me. The only bad news is trying to figure this out. Well, it's not bad news, it's just all fun in it, it's all learning. You know, you get these things, they don't come with instruction manuals. So I'll try and figure that one out, and then I'll check back in when I've got a solution for that. Well, there's the bumper on the Jeep. I've had to trim the front bumper off the Jeep here. Don't look as good as it will actually on the Wrangler, but just move that. Pain in the ass. The RC4 wheel drive bracket, that's just gone over this guard here fine. That hasn't been an issue, but the issue is still the inner fenders. Now we can get these on, but I'm either, as I thought, gonna have to cut these or maybe trim these somewhere, but I don't really want to be doing that. So if anyone knows if you can actually flick these around and these will all still bracket up the same, if you get what I mean, like that side on that side, that side on that side, and then just adjust these rock sliders on the side, and if it can go on that way because of this lip, it'll fill this gap here, enabling those to just sit flush in there. Now I checked the manual and I have constructed it right, so I don't know, maybe the RTR models don't have this. So for the time being I am just going to leave the fronts of the fenders off until I know exactly what I'm doing with it. But there's the stubby bumper all fitted. Awesome thing. And that, for that one, will be that until I come up with a plan for these. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, drop me a subscription, leave me a comment, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.